Listen to me, right where you are. This is not a coincidence. I have a word for your future. My precious son, my dear daughter, do not close this message. Do not let this moment pass you by. This is a divine appointment, crafted for you in this hour. I am speaking to you directly because a shift is prepared for your life. What you do with these next few minutes will determine the direction of your days to come. I speak with urgency, not from anger, but from a heart of love that knows the importance of timing. Give me your full attention. Not later when it's convenient, but now. I see the exhaustion you carry. I have witnessed every season of waiting, every prayer you thought vanished into silence, every hope that began to feel too heavy to hold. I know the ache of disappointment you've learned to bury beneath a brave face. But this day is different. This day is marked for transition. This day holds a provision designed for you before you even knew your own need. And yes, it brings me joy when you open your spirit now, because faithful response activates doors that passive waiting will never unlock. You may wonder, is this truly meant for me? Then understand this. If this were not for you, you would not be hearing it. I do not arrange divine interruptions without purpose. I do not call my own without clear intention. You are not behind schedule. You are perfectly positioned. This is your appointed time. What I am releasing in this hour cannot be postponed without cost. Not because my love fades, but because certain breakthroughs are connected to your obedience in the moment. My child, the spiritual realm is attentive. Angelic helpers are stationed. Those forgotten prayers are now rising like incense. Hear this with tenderness and certainty. Your breakthrough is already complete. It is not being assembled. It is not under deliberation. It is finished. The only variable now is your reception. Will you open your heart now, or will you pause because past hurt has taught you to distrust joy? I am familiar with your story. I know the nights your tears wet your pillow as you whispered my name. I know the days you wore a smile for the world while feeling hollow within. I know the doubts you were too afraid to voice. I know how you've learned to lower expectations to soften the blow of letdown. But today, I ask you to expect from me. Do not expect cautiously or with reservation, but with your whole heart. Do not mistake this urgency for threat. It signals opportunity. It signals divine alignment. It means the heavenly and the earthly are converging at this point in your journey. My love is drawing you near, not driving you away. I am not displeased with you. I am pleased with you. And yes, it brings my heart gladness when you receive this word now, because it shows me you still trust my voice. You've been standing at the threshold of a new season without realizing it. You felt a holy discontent in your soul. You sensed a gentle stirring you couldn't define. That was me. I was preparing you for this very day. I was tenderizing the ground of your heart so the seed I plant now can sprout without delay. Some harvests take seasons, but some seeds are for immediate sowing. This is one. My child, do not minimize what occurs when you choose to obey quickly. Hesitation has cost you before. You waited for guarantees, for signals, for confirmation, and you dressed fear in the clothing of wisdom. But today I tell you plainly, your miracle is not waiting on evidence. It is waiting on your faith. Trust does not demand full comprehension. It means you open your heart even while some questions linger. I am not asking you to sprint forward with your eyes shut. I am asking you to step forward with your will surrendered. I am not asking you to feel no fear. I am asking you to be full of faith. And faith often looks like opening your hands when you're weary of empty returns. Faith looks like leaning in to listen when part of you wants to shield itself from expectation. Heaven is watching, not to criticize, but to catalyze. Every movement of your spirit matters in this instant. Every whispered yes, every barrier you dismantle, every tear of release, it all creates space for my power to flow. You are not alone here. I am nearer than your next breath. I speak with firm gentleness because I love you too deeply to let you bypass what I've prepared. Beloved, there are gates that only swing wide when you act in immediate agreement. Not because I am impatient, but because delay gives uncertainty a voice. Uncertainty will tell you to wait until you feel prepared. But readiness is not an emotion. Readiness is a decision of obedience. And you are more prepared than you believe, for I would not call you if you were not equipped. You have mastered the art of enduring. Today, I am inviting you to master the art of receiving. Survival taught you how to persist, but reception will teach you how to prosper. Do not confuse hesitation with discernment in this hour. True wisdom is hearing my instruction and responding while the path is illuminated. This clarity you sense right now is not random. It will not remain indefinitely if neglected. That is why my tone blends urgency with deep affection. I am aware of your anxieties. I know the inner voice that whispers, "What if this changes nothing?" I know the memory of past unmet hopes that causes you to guard your heart. But listen closely. This is not a repeat of yesterday. This is not the same cycle. You are not the same person. And I am initiating something new that requires a fresh response from you. My child, my gaze upon you is filled with warmth. Not because you have no flaws, but because you have a willing spirit. Even your uncertainty has not caused me to withdraw. I am still present, still speaking, still offering. But I will be direct with you, for love speaks truth. This moment carries weight. What you decide now will mold your next chapter. If He is the foundation of your entire life, type "My Provider" now. Open your heart. Relinquish the need to manage how the provision arrives. Relinquish the demand to map every step of the journey. Relinquish the fear that mutters, "You are reaching for too much." You are not reaching for too much. You are reaching for me, and I am more than enough. I see the entire road ahead. You see only the light for the next step, and that is sufficient. You do not need to hold a blueprint for the whole trip in your mind. You only need to say yes in your innermost being. The realm of spirit responds to your yes. Heavenly forces move when faith declares. Heaven celebrates when my children trust me enough to open their hearts without excuse. My dear one, do not scroll past this crossroads in your destiny. Do not treat it as ordinary content. I am addressing you personally with specific intention. You have prayed for transformation. You have prayed for relief. You have prayed for a signal. This is that signal. This is your summons. This is your Kairos moment. Today, your shift will occur not because you've earned it, but because you are loved. And I will rejoice when you open your heart now, for love always celebrates being welcomed. Stay here with me. Listen. Become open. What follows will confirm every word I am speaking. My precious child, draw near and hear this with certainty beyond every doubt. This moment was orchestrated before you took your first breath. It does not surprise me that you are here, hearing this now. Long before your name was known on earth, I foresaw this very hour. I saw you with longing in your heart, thirsting for clarity, hoping for change, questioning if your life carries the significance you feel it should. I knew you would arrive here, and I prepared for it with meticulous love. Nothing in your journey has been accidental. Not your birth, not your path, not even the seasons that felt barren or stalled. I have witnessed every moment from the start. When you were young and trusting, when your heart was soft, I was there. When life made you resilient, when letdown taught you wariness, I remained there. When you wept unseen tears, I saw them. When you uttered prayers you feared were unheard, I captured every syllable. Not one sigh was missed. Not one tear was without purpose. You may look back and see fragments that feel disconnected, periods that appear like errors or detours. But I see a continuous narrative carefully woven together by my hand. Even the pauses you resented, even the waiting that drained you were not signs of neglect. They were intentional intervals written into your story. I was molding you, shielding you, and keeping certain pathways closed until your character and courage were ready to walk forward. I have never forgotten you, not for a single second. I watched you grapple with the why of the long road. I saw how you questioned your own worth, wondering if you had faltered, wondering if you were undeserving of the answers you sought. I saw you measure your progress against others and feel delayed, and still, I stayed close. I did not hurry you because love does not rush what it treasures. I permitted time to do its perfect work within you, even when you couldn't perceive the reason. My child, today is not merely another sunrise. Today is a pivot point inscribed long ago. This is one of those moments that separates what was from what will be. Even if the external seems unchanged, the spiritual realm recognizes the gravity of this hour. Heaven knows what has been held in reserve for you. That is why you feel that inward stirring now. A feeling like awakening, like remembrance, like truth settling into its home. That stirring is not your mind playing tricks. It is my spirit confirming you are in the right place at the right time. Please, support this ministry. Our mission is to bring hope to your life and to deepen your connection with the divine. If you are led to, you can support this work through the Super Thanks feature. You did not arrive here randomly. Every step, even the painful ones, brought you to this point. The disappointments that taught you perseverance, the losses that expanded your empathy, the seemingly unanswered prayers that stretched your trust, all were shaping you for what is next. I know it did not feel purposeful in the midst of it. I know you often felt isolated in the waiting, but I was working quietly, arranging details beyond your view, holding back what would have overpowered you, and preparing what will ultimately elevate you. I have been present in every chapter of your life, not only the celebrated ones. I was present in the confusion, in the grief, in the quiet. I was there when you felt invisible and misinterpreted. I was there when you upheld others while your own soul was fatigued. I did not turn from you in those times. I drew nearer. I upheld you when you believed you were standing alone. Many times you endured what you thought was unendurable, and you wondered about the source of that strength. It flowed from me. I want you to grasp how thoroughly you are known. I am acquainted with your fears and your aspirations. I know the parts of you that feel assured and the parts that feel vulnerable. I know the dreams you still nurture quietly and the ones you set aside because hoping grew too painful. I know the prayers you began to pray silently, fearing another disappointment. None of that has caused me to distance myself. It has invited me closer, for I care about every dimension of your heart. The heavenly realm is leaning in right now, not because you are in peril, but because you are on the verge of something significant. A transition is already in motion. Even if your physical eyes don't yet see it clearly, circumstances are aligning in ways that will soon become apparent. The change may start subtly, a shift in your perspective, a peace displacing worry, a hope rekindling where you had settled for less. Do not dismiss these slight internal movements. They are indicators that a new thing is forming. I know you have learned to be guarded with hope. You have shielded yourself by tempering expectations, by convincing yourself not to believe too swiftly. That guard served you for a season, but it is not your permanent identity. Today, I am calling you to trust again, not naively, but knowingly. Trust in me, who has journeyed with you through every phase of your life. Trust in me, who knows your past and your future. This moment was written into your story because you are ready for it now, not because you are flawless, but because you have matured. You have learned compassion through your own pain. You have learned patience through the wait. You have learned resilience through loss. These lessons were difficult, but they were invaluable, and they have equipped you for what is ahead. I do not waste suffering, and I do not overlook growth that happens in the quiet places. I want you to feel how intimately personal this is. I am not speaking in broad generalities. I am speaking to you. I know the exact thoughts that occupy your mind in the late hours. I know the questions you pose when you are alone. I know the parts of you that still wonder if true change is possible for your life. And I tell you now with love and absolute certainty, this moment is pivotal. It is part of your destiny unfolding, not separate from it. You may not see the full picture yet, and that is okay. You are not meant to hold the entire future in your understanding. You are meant to trust me in the present. The next steps will become clear as you walk forward with me. For now, know this: you are seen. You are known. You are profoundly loved. Heaven is not remote. Heaven is attentive. Heaven is responding. I have always been faithful to you. Even in your seasons of doubting my nearness, I have always been involved in your narrative, even when the storyline seemed confusing. And I will continue to walk with you as this new chapter dawns. Let your heart settle in this truth. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are standing precisely where you were meant to stand, at a moment fashioned for you before you knew to seek it. My beloved, come and let your spirit rest in my words for a moment. I know you have carried questions for a long while. I know you have asked me why the path was so difficult, why answers didn't come when you needed them most, why the silence seemed to stretch beyond your capacity. I have seen you wrestle with confusion, wondering if you had made a fatal error, wondering if your pain was a sign of failure or penalty. Hear me now with a calm and receptive heart. The waiting was never punitive. The silence was never rejection. The pain was never pointless. I allowed the waiting because I was preparing you, not excluding you. I allowed the silence because I was working at a depth words cannot reach. I allowed the pain not because I enjoy suffering, but because there were qualities within you that could only be formed through endurance, compassion, and quiet fortitude. I know that is difficult to grasp when you are in the midst of the struggle. I know how lonely the wait felt. I know how many nights you lay awake asking me to speak, to act, to give some sign you were remembered. And I was there in every one of those nights. You were never abandoned in your suffering. I was closer than you perceived. When your prayers seemed to hit a ceiling and fall back, I was listening. When your tears soaked your pillow and your heart felt too weighted for words, I was holding you. When you questioned your value and wondered if you had the strength to continue, I was fortifying you quietly from within. Not one tear was wasted. Not one night of anguish was ignored. Every moment held purpose even when it felt unbearable. You blamed yourself for the delays. You wondered if you missed a cue, chose poorly, or lacked sufficient faith. I want to lift that burden from you now. You were not being penalized. You were being protected. There were things you requested that you were not yet ready to steward. Not because you were weak, but because the blessing itself required a firmer foundation than you possessed at the time. I love you too much to give you something that would overwhelm you under its weight. The waiting cultivated a patience you didn't know you contained. The silence trained you to listen beyond noise. The pain softened your spirit so you could love more deeply and understand others more completely. These were not lessons you requested, but they were lessons that shaped you into someone who can now receive what once would have been too much. I was building strength in you quietly, like roots digging deep underground while everything above seemed dormant. I know you felt passed by as others advanced. I know comparison magnified the weight of waiting. You watched doors open for others while yours appeared shut, and you wondered what you were doing wrong. But I was not grading you on another's curve. I was guiding you on a path designed uniquely for you. Your timing was distinct because your assignment is distinct. What I am preparing you for requires depth, resilience, and a heart acquainted with both sorrow and hope. You learned how to outlast seasons you never thought you'd survive. You learned how to remain standing when you wanted to fall. You learned how to keep believing when faith felt fragile. These are not insignificant achievements. They are evidence of growth, even if you didn't recognize it then. Strength was forged in you quietly, without fanfare, without recognition, without immediate reward. But it was real, and it remains within you now. I saw you strive to be strong for everyone else while breaking inside. I saw you smile when you wanted to weep. I saw you shoulder burdens that felt too heavy for your soul. I never expected you to manage all of that in your own power. I was with you even when you felt unsupported. I was granting you endurance not to trap you in hardship, but to prepare you for liberation. True freedom often requires strength, and strength is often born in stillness. The prayers you felt went unanswered were not unheard. They were prayers awaiting their proper season. Some answers required time to mature, people to shift, circumstances to line up, and your own heart to heal. I was working in ways you could not perceive, shielding you from outcomes that would have caused more damage than good. Trust that my timing was governed by love, not apathy. If your heart belongs entirely to Him, type "My first love" now. I want you to release the guilt you've carried. You did not fail me by struggling. You did not let me down by feeling weary. You did not weaken your faith by questioning. I am not offended by your honesty. I am moved by it. Your vulnerability did not repel me. It invited me closer. Let go of the notion that you needed to be perfect to be loved. You were loved through every imperfect moment. Now you stand in a place where you can look back and see how far you've come. Even if you still feel tender, you are stronger than before. Not calloused, but wiser. You are more compassionate, more patient, more aware of what truly holds value. This strength did not announce its arrival. It arrived quietly, formed in hidden places, shaped in moments no one else saw. And now you are ready for what once would have overwhelmed you. What lies ahead requires the very qualities you gained in the waiting. It requires the depth you developed in silence. It requires the resilience you built in pain. Nothing was squandered. Nothing was meaningless. Every step, every delay, every tour played a role in preparing you for this season. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. Let your heart rest in this truth. I have always been for you. I have always been engineering good for you. The waiting is now yielding to momentum. The silence is now yielding to clarity. The pain is now yielding to purpose. And I am walking with you into the next phase, just as I walked with you through the last. My precious child, listen with your entire being now. I need you to understand this clearly, without confusion. The breakthrough you've been petitioning for is not distant. It is already advancing toward you. It is not a far-off promise, not a future maybe, not something pending a committee decision. It is already in progress, already unfolding, already answering the faith you've carried through the wait. Even now, as you absorb these words, heaven is actively engaged on your behalf. You have spent so long looking toward the horizon, wondering when the shift would finally manifest, wondering how long you'd have to persist before relief arrived. But I tell you now, the movement has already commenced. What you couldn't perceive while you were waiting has been taking form in the unseen. Doors you believed were locked have begun to tremble. Burdens you've carried for years are starting to lighten. Chains that bound your mind, your heart, and your situation are breaking in the spiritual realm before you feel the full liberation. Do not measure my activity solely by what is visible to your eyes. Much of my work happens beneath the surface before it becomes evident. Seeds split open in the dark earth before anything breaks into the light. Foundations are poured before the structure rises. In the same manner, your breakthrough has been progressing steadily, step by step, even when you sensed no motion. Silence did not mean inactivity. Waiting did not mean stagnation. I have been moving all along. I want your faith to ascend now. Not because you are straining to believe, but because truth is being unveiled. What you have been asking for is synchronizing with perfect timing, the right connections, the right conditions. Elements are shifting into position in ways you could never have engineered alone. I am working beyond your comprehension, coordinating details you never considered, removing roadblocks you didn't know existed. You may feel a shift in your spirit already. A sense of anticipation blended with calm, a quiet assurance that something has changed. That is not your imagination. It is my spirit affirming that momentum is underway. I am answering your petitions not with procrastination but with precision. I do not rush, and I do not miss. What originates from me arrives at the perfect moment, designed to bless you, not burden you. My child, do not let doubt disrupt what is now unfolding. Doubt often speaks loudest when change is imminent, because fear senses its expiration. You may hear thoughts telling you to guard your hopes, to shield yourself from potential letdown. I understand why those thoughts exist. They were formed in seasons where waiting was painful, but they have no place in this moment. This is not the time to retreat. This is not the time to click away from what I am doing. This is not the time to postpone obedience due to uncertainty. I am asking you to stay present, stay open, stay receptive. When heaven moves, your attentiveness matters. Your faith matters. Your willingness to hear and respond matters. I am not asking you to comprehend every detail. I am asking you not to turn away as I draw near. Do not treat this moment lightly. There are times when a single decision, a single act of trust, a single moment of openness allows a miracle to fully manifest. I speak with authority now because this is critical. Today is the day heaven's response activates. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. This does not mean everything will materialize instantly, but it does mean the outcome is now set into motion. The response has been dispatched. The answer has been activated. What unfolds from this point will confirm the words I am speaking. I see burdens lifting that you've carried so long, you've forgotten the feeling of freedom. I see peace returning to territories once ruled by anxiety. I see clarity replacing confusion. I see pathways opening where you once saw only walls. I see strength flowing back into you. Not the exhausting kind that just endures, but the renewing kind that brings rest and confidence. You are closer than you think, closer than you feel, closer than you dare to imagine. Do not gauge progress by external change alone. Internal transformation is often the first sign of a miracle. When your heart begins to hope again, when your spirit begins to settle, when your thoughts shift from fear to expectation, that is evidence of a genuine spiritual shift. I am not playing word games with you. I am preparing you with reality. The breakthrough advancing toward you will not arrive to harm or overwhelm you. It will arrive to heal, to restore, and to align you with the abundance you were always meant to walk in. That is why the preparation was essential. That is why the timing was key. That is why you needed the strength you now possess. Stay with me. Do not disengage. Do not revert to old patterns of doubt. You have journeyed too far to turn back now. Heaven has heard you. Heaven has responded. Heaven is moving. And as you continue to listen, to trust, and to obey, you will begin to witness with your natural eyes what has already begun in the Spirit. This is not a distant pledge. This is a present reality. Your breakthrough is already en route. My beloved, take my hand now and listen with care, for what I say next carries great significance. This is not a moment for postponement or half-hearted attention. I speak with love, yet with firmness, because love guards what is precious, and your destiny is precious to me. I am not hastening you from irritation. I am guiding you because timing is crucial, and you are positioned where forward movement is required. First, do not ignore what you are sensing right now, that stirring in your chest, that blend of urgency and hope, that quiet knowing that a change must happen. Do not mute it. That is my voice, reaching past your fears and routines, calling you forward. You have become skilled at reasoning yourself out of moments like this. You have learned to delay, to overanalyze, to say later, because later feels less risky. But later has already cost you precious opportunities before. I do not want you to miss what is intended for you because fear masquerades as prudence. Do not postpone your obedience. Obedience does not require you to possess all answers. It means you trust me enough to move while I am speaking. When I prompt your heart, when I nudge your spirit, when I make a directive clear within you, respond. Hesitation blurs clarity. Waiting too long allows doubt to drown out truth. I am not cautioning you to scare you. I am protecting what I have prepared for you. Certain blessings are linked to movement, not to stationary waiting. Some gates remain open only for those willing to step forward when summoned. I need you to release what you've been clutching out of fear. Release the fear of another disappointment. Release the fear of making an incorrect choice. Release the fear of trusting me completely. You've carried these fears for years, and they have influenced your decisions more than you know. Fear has counseled you to stay in places that no longer bring life. Fear has told you to cling to familiar pain because the unknown seems more threatening. But I did not design you to live within the confines of fear. Let go of resentment. I know it formed as a defense mechanism. I know it grew from being wounded, ignored, misunderstood, or betrayed. I know it helped you survive seasons of injustice. But resentment is not meant to be a permanent resident. It weighs down your soul and obscures your vision. You no longer require resentment to be strong. You are stronger now. Surrender it into my care. I will address what wounded you. I will bring about justice where it is due. You do not need to carry that load into your future. Let go of excessive analysis. You have tried to solve everything intellectually, replaying scenarios, forecasting outcomes, bracing for every potential setback. I understand why you learned that. Planning felt safer than hoping. But overanalysis is not wisdom when it supersedes trust. There are realities you cannot logic your way through. There are steps that only make sense once your foot is lifted. I am asking you to quiet your mind enough to hear me distinctly and follow me simply. Trust me fully. Not partially, not with hesitation. Fully. Trust does not mean the absence of fearful feelings. It means choosing me even when those feelings are present. Trust means believing that I see what is invisible to you, that I know what is unknown to you, and that I love you more profoundly than you love yourself. When you trust me, you are freed from the need to control outcomes. You are freed from the need to insulate yourself from all potential pain. You rest in the knowledge that I am leading you. I want you to grasp this clearly. Hesitation can result in missed provision, not because I punish you, but because moments are fleeting. Timing is everything. When the wave rises, you move with it. When a gate opens, you walk through it. When I speak, I act, and I invite you to act with me. If you wait too long, you may find yourself trying to recreate a moment meant to be entered, not dissected. Do not confuse waiting on my timing with resisting my instruction. Waiting on me is an act of trust. Resisting me is delayed obedience. You will discern the difference by the peace or absence of peace in your spirit. When I am calling you forward, remaining static will feel burdensome. That burden is not divine rest, it is tension. I desire to free you from that tension by guiding you into motion. I am not asking you to jump alone. I am holding your hand. I am steadying your stride. I am not pushing you into a void without support. I am walking with you into what I have already arranged. The step before you is not into darkness. It is into alignment. It is into purpose. It is into a future that corresponds with the maturity you've already attained. Remain attentive right now. Do not let distractions pull you away. Do not let familiar routines convince you this is just another video, another message you can return to later. Some directives are time-sensitive. This is one. What I'm asking of you now will become clear later, but it must be chosen now. Relinquish the need to see the entire route. You only need the next instruction. Relinquish the pressure to perform flawlessly. You only need to be willing. Relinquish the dread of change. Change is the gateway to what you've been praying for. You cannot remain as you are and welcome something new. Transformation requires movement, and movement requires trust. If His presence sustains you daily, type "my daily breath" and share this with someone who needs to hear it.